a brave woman. She is the real Martha Washington of our time. She has forced America to look squarely in the eye at what lies beneath the surface of the peace-loving individuals who pretend to be interdenominational while they are a minority in the community. WJR in Detroit. August, go ahead, please. You're on the Savage Nation.
Hey, Michael, really appreciate it. Love the show. Just wanted to comment in Detroit, and by the way, WJR is very far-reaching. We're going to Canada, northern Michigan, southern Ohio, Indiana, etc. It's a big station, and you're on it.
No, WJR is a blowtorch, flamethrower station. I'm very proud to be on it. I always wanted to be on it, and I wasn't on it until Cumulus syndicated me. It's a great, great signal. So what's your opinion, August?
My opinion is this. It has a huge, in the greater Detroit metropolitan area, a huge Muslim community. Dearborn specifically has street signs, schools. It's all Muslim. All their thing. They own a lot of the stores. They talk their own language in the stores. I refuse to go into them. I will not do that. I go to
let's pause right there. They're allowed to speak in Arabic or Urdu. They can speak in Hindu. You can speak in Hebrew. You can speak in any language you want in America. That's not the issue. The same can be said about Chinese American communities. The signs are in Chinese, aren't they? I mean, you're not angry at the Chinese, are you? It's not about their language, is it?
No, but you're an American. That's my point. Why?
I understand, but they have a right not to speak English if they don't want. You don't have to speak English to get a welfare check.
Okay, well, then I have a right.
You can get the check. You can cash it in Urdu if you want.
And I don't. I will not support that business.
You can get a check in America now, even if you can't speak the language. By the way, do you remember a few weeks ago Muslims tried to, they burnt an American flag in Michigan? Do you remember that story?
Yeah.
Remember the Muslims were stamping on the American flag and burning it, and a female Air Force officer grabbed the flag from them, and those cowardly white cops arrested the woman, didn't arrest the Muslims who were stepping on the flag. They said it was free speech to burn the American flag. Do you remember that, August?
This is my point.
Well, wait a minute. They burnt the American flag. She didn't shoot him. She grabbed the American flag and put the fire out. Then they arrested her. We're living in an upside-down world because we have an upside-down leader in the United States of America. He's turned the world upside down. He's setting America on fire. I'll be back.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
Your Savage Nation is sponsored by SwissAmerica.com. It's the only company I trust for tangible assets, gold and silver. Call 800-BUICOIN. We're talking about blaming the victim. We're talking about the upside-down universe of Bill O'Reilly, Greta Van Susteren, and people that I consider my friends who have it all wrong. No, Pamela Geller is not the problem. She's the solution. The real problem here is cowardice. The real problem here is how you don't even understand that it's about freedom of speech, not about freedom of speech according to some. Now, Geller's called everything, and they call her a hater or this and that, her group, a hate group. If you go to the Family Research Council on the Southern Poverty Law Center website, you'll see that they're listed as a hate group. That's right, because they oppose abortion. They're some of the sickest, most demented, Soros-funded people in America. You may not know this, but the Southern Poverty Law Center, which if I were the president, I would investigate immediately for hate crimes going back many years. The Southern Poverty Law Center encouraged violence against the Family Research Council. A shooter, a left-wing shooter, showed up to the Family Research Council and attacked him. And so, in my opinion, the Southern Poverty Law Center is responsible for having encouraged violence. That is, if you consider Geller guilty of violence. But only more so. So look into old Mars Deeds, Mr. Holier Than Thou, and his Al Sharpton-like SPLC, and you'll find out who the real hate groups are.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage. Warning. The Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of unprotected talk, borders, language, culture. And here he is, Michael Savage.
Well, the battle lines are drawn, and many of you understand what they are and what's at stake. And we're talking about the Islamic murders, attempted murders of innocent people assembling in a free speech rally. However repugnant, they're protected by the First Amendment, as they should be. And you've got hand-wringers like Bill O'Reilly claiming they were provoking the violence. In other words, they're blaming the victim. And I've asked you many times, where do you want provocation to end and freedom of speech to begin? Were civil rights leaders provoking violence in the South when they marched from Selma to Montgomery? I don't think so. Not at all. So what are you talking about? You want self-suppression to empower evil? We're supposed to worry about what fanatics say about their religion and say, okay, I agree with you. So where does it end? I told you what they did in Michigan. I told you they banned church bells in Michigan years ago, and I spoke out about it. I told you what was coming. And if you think it's about a picture of Muhammad, you're wrong. That's just the beginning. If they can get you to bend down for them now with the Muhammad picture, what is it tomorrow that they're going to ask you to do? And you'll say, you know what, it's not so bad. After all, when they came for those who were drawing pictures of Muhammad, I really supported them because I don't draw pictures of Muhammad. And, you know, when they came for the Christians' church bells, I didn't raise my voice because I'm not even a Christian. We don't have them in a synagogue. The Muslims aren't going to bother us. Everyone knows that Muslims and Jews get along. Oh, yeah, they get along. And then when they came for the Jews, who was left? Nobody. And see, if you haven't learned from history, you're never going to learn from Bill O'Reilly, even though he writes these pseudo-history books. His next book ought to be Killing Free Speech instead of killing Patton. His next one ought to be Killing the First Amendment. I recommend that to you, Bill. Write a new book called Killing Free Speech in America. You'll be right at the front of the list because if I'm not mistaken, when I was banned in England, I think you backed the British, not Michael Savage. So at least you're consistent. Miriam on WABC, welcome to the Savage Nation.
Hi, Dr. Savage. As a grandchild of Holocaust survivors, I want to thank you for speaking the truth. My great-grandfather was murdered in a gas chamber, and he did not provoke the Nazis. He didn't do anything.
Right. Okay, so do you understand what I'm saying on this show today, that drawing a picture of Muhammad, however repugnant it may be to some Muslims, is not an excuse to murder them?
100%.
Okay, so why is it so many liberal Jews are wringing their hands and saying you shouldn't provoke them?
I don't know. I'm not liberal. I'm Orthodox. I mean, you know, and I live and let live. You know, let everyone do their thing. I respect everybody. So I can't speak for them, but I think that knowledge and wisdom is power, and that's why I want to thank you for empowering all of us. You know, I've been listening to the last few days, and great fan, and thanks for, you know, teaching us so much. I think a lot of people are just uneducated.
I appreciate it, Miriam. I know that there's a large following in New York for my show amongst religious communities and non-religious communities. I don't know if you read secular books, but I'm going to send you a copy of Countdown to Mecca. It's kosher, I guarantee you.
Your book, Countdown to Mecca.
Yeah, huh? No, I'm sending it to you. You don't have to worry about reading it. Now, let me go into the Quran, because you may not understand that Jews are called apes and pigs in the Quran. I'm not making it up. I wouldn't say it if it was not true. AndrewBostom.org is a man who has studied the Muslim problem for a long time, and he blogs. And here's what he says. He said, quote, "From Muhammad via the Quran across space and time, as promulgated today by Sunni Islam's 1,000-year-old leading teaching institution, Al-Azhar and ISIS alike, Jews are apes and pigs, is a sacralized theme repeated to incite their slaughter en masse or as individuals such as Pamela Geller. Would that Fox News' morally and factually bereft pundits understood this hideous reality," close quote. Did you hear this? So they're chastising Pamela Geller for provoking the Garland, Texas jihadist attack at a free speech event. Bill O'Reilly hit a new low, and he chirped in attacking Geller. He doesn't understand what's at stake, or if he does, well, shame on you, Bill. But if you read what many Muslims are reading every day and having put into their heads in mosques, you might be appalled, Bill. you might find what they think of Christians to be repugnant. And as far as I'm concerned, any religion that teaches such hatred is not a religion. I'm sorry. You can't use a Trojan horse method to destroy other people and hide behind freedom of religion. It's time for rational Muslim leaders to get together and talk about it. In fact, some have done it. And again, it's the women within the Muslim religion who are doing it. I had that wonderful... Did you hear what they did to that wonderful, brave Somali woman who went to... she's from Somalia, and she went to Denmark as an asylee. She cleaned factory floors as a plain, factory cleaner. She rose from that to becoming a member of the parliament in, I think it was Holland. I'm not sure what the country is, one of those Scandinavian area countries. She came here and she wrote a book. I think it was called Heretic. That was the name of her book. And she said that Islam needs to go through a reformation for it to not be at war with the rest of the world. I'm paraphrasing her. She was attacked viciously by those in the media who are now attacking Pamela Geller. Do you know that? Here was a Muslim woman from Somalia saying that Islam has such hatred in it that it needs to reform the Quran in order for it to move into the modern world, in order to not treat women as garbage and not to look down on other religions as filth. She said it. She was attacked by the same people in the media who are attacking Pamela Geller. So how do you feel about this? WMAL in Washington. Sylvia, what's your opinion on this incendiary issue?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Savage. This is such an outrage with respect to the media. It is so painfully obvious that they're complicit in destroying the First Amendment. And what I find interesting is that your dream is very prophetic, as well as what it sounds like your book. So people need to really pay attention to what you have to say.
What, you mean the dream about the blindfolded white elephant?
Yes.
Well, who was the white elephant?
Oh, gosh, our supposed friends at Fox could be the white elephant.
Interesting. Oh, I dreamed it, and I was sort of thinking it was the Republican Party because the elephant is their symbol.
Well, yeah,
but then again, you see, here's the thing you've got to understand about Bill O'Reilly. Bill O'Reilly's not a bad guy. Bill O'Reilly's a very clever businessman in disguise. And Bill knows which way the wind blows. And in my opinion, Bill understands that right now he's got to be a little more Sharia compliant in order to survive in the new America under Hussein and the liberals in the Republican Party. So he knows which way the wind blows, and he's going with it. I would expect nothing less from Greta. Greta always has been what she is. All right, stay on the line. Free copy of Countdown to Mecca. Everyone gets one who gets on the air today. I really like the callers. I really do. Really love the callers today. You're afraid of a cartoon now? You know, back in the 60s, I was an activist poet in the East Village for a while. I was a young teacher, but I hung around with the loonies on the left. I've told you this. There's nothing hidden about that. It was a fun time. Everyone was trying to be wild, and free and crazy. You know, everyone was aping the Beatles or whatever. And there were some amongst us who were more radical than others, some who were really bad revolutionaries. And there was a guy who published a rag down there. I forget the name of the magazine, but he put on the cover of the magazine a picture of Uncle Sam with his pants down being sodomized. I was so offended by it that I sought the pockmarked jerk out. I think the pockmarked jerk is living somewhere in San Francisco on welfare or disability now, sitting in cafes talking to himself and a few other leftovers from the 60s. But the point was, he painted a picture of Uncle Sam that I found sickening. It got me ill. But no one shot him with a machine. No one tried to kill him with a machine gun. In time, he was just ignored because he was just a provocateur. That's the American way. And you have the right to ignore people. Many people hate my show, so they don't listen to it. Many of it hate the show, so they do listen to it, hoping to catch me in a mistake. Well, they've been trying for 21 years. They haven't succeeded yet. All the George Soros-funded gangsters have not yet succeeded because I don't make mistakes. I know how to walk the tightrope. I'm the great Santini. But the fact of the matter is, it's not about me. It's about freedom of speech, which is my middle name. Without freedom of speech,